Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how to do regular maintenance on your John Deere riding lawnmower, including changing your oil, air filter, spark plugs, fuel filter, and even adding a fuel shutoff valve. So stay tuned. So these parts kits are actually really cheap. You can get them on Amazon for about $14. That's where I got mine. Plus your oil, which is about $8, $6, $7, $8, somewhere around there, depending on the kind you get. So altogether, you're gonna do this for about 20 bucks, and it'll take about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. So let's get started. All right, so now we got our mower in here. We're gonna take the hood off, and we'll get started with the oil change first. All right, so to get started, we're gonna need a couple of things. So first of all, your oil filter, just set that aside for now. And your oil, this takes about 1.5 quarts of oil, and the manual calls for 10W30, so we got that here. Then you're also gonna want a drip pan because this stuff will drip quite a bit. So we'll put this underneath here. You got 3 spots you wanna know about before you get started here. Your oil inlet here, basically. We're gonna go ahead and take that out. Set it on our drip pan. And then you got your oil spout out here. This is kind of just like a plastic cover that sits over top of it. So we're gonna remove that carefully and then let the oil drip out. There's actually a notch in it. So if you follow it and twist it and pull it, should be pretty easy. And if that does give you any trouble, you can always use some pliers and use just gentle pressure to kind of wiggle it and pull it off. Don't use too much pressure because you will damage it. There you go. Just like that. And the oil will start to pour out, and just let it pour out and get everything out before you continue. Okay, so while that oil is draining out, because it might take just a minute, we're going to do the air filter real quick. So pretty easy, you get this new one in the package. What this is, it actually has a foam cover on it. So especially if you're in dirty conditions, this is really helpful because you can just take that foam cover off, slide it off, then wash it, and then let it air dry and put it back in. So to take the air filter out, pretty easy. You just turn these 2 knobs here that are on the top of the engine, and then you pull the top off. Whew, that is dusty. All right, pretty simple here. This air filter just basically pops off. It's really simple. You can tell this is really, really dirty. Oh. Then we'll just pop our new air filter back on, kind of down, so it seats in here, and then that's it, all done. Just make sure when you put this back on that you get these tightened back down and in the lock position. Okay, this oil is almost done, but we're gonna do one more thing while we're waiting because it's just getting the last bits out. We're gonna change out the spark plug. Pretty simple. All you need is a socket and a spark plug socket on top of it, and the new spark plug, obviously. Okay, this is pretty simple. You're kind of just gotta wiggle this cable off. Be careful because this might be a little hot muffler. Okay. Actually, wasn't too bad. This comes off. We are going to get our socket and spark plug socket on there and just pull it off. You should only have to use this to get it started. After that, it should just come out freely. There we go. Ooh, it's dirty. I actually don't know how bad that really is, but we're going to replace it anyways. When you put these in, new ones in, you want to be really careful you don't cross thread them. It's super easy, so always do as much of it by hand as possible. Okay, it's in, and then we're going to tighten this down. Technically, you're supposed to torque it down, but I don't know the specs, and so I'm just going to make it nice and snug. There we go. And we're going to connect this back up. Perfect. So, oil is done dripping for the most part. It's good enough at least. So we're gonna go ahead and put our cap back on and twist it so it's locked. And we'll go to the other side and get the oil filter changed out. Okay, make sure you get your pan down below to catch any extra oil. And of course this one. Okay, there we go. And you should be able to take it off the rest of the way. You're going to get a little drippage, and that's okay. Still going to drip a little bit until you get the new one on, just a little bit, but try and wipe up as much as possible. Because it's just going to attract dirt if you leave it on there. Okay. Now we're going to take our new oil filter. We're going to get this cover off. butt. And then we're gonna just put a little bit of oil inside of this as well as on the seal. Okay. So if you just pour some in, you'll inevitably get a little bit on the sides, so you can just use that to wipe around. If you get any around, just wipe it off. Okay, and spin this on. And make sure you only hand tighten it down. It doesn't need to be tightened on with a wrench or anything else like that. You could cause damage if you do that. So let's go back to the other side. Okay, so now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and fill up our oil here. We're going to put 1.5 quarts in there, so 1.5 of our quarts of oil. Good, 1.5 quarts. And then we'll go ahead and get our dipstick back in. Okay. And the last thing we're going to do is actually change out the fuel filter, and we're going to install a fuel filter selector switch so we can turn off the fuel in the wintertime. And that's on the other side. So if you can see in here carefully, this is going to be your fuel filter in there. And there's no selector switch right now, but we're going to install one. So all we have to do is get a pair of pliers and snip these off. Not snip them, but bring them together so they unsnap. Then we should be able to pull the fuel filter off. There is one way that it goes, so make note of that before you take it off. And then we'll go ahead and cut the line afterwards and install the selector switch to be able to turn it off. Oh, right, so sorry about that. We had some camera issues, but basically I just slid the old fuel filter off of here, and it was pretty disgusting, as you can tell. It's all yellowed and probably full of gunk. So I put the new one on, I slid it up there, and then all that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this clamp down here a little bit farther, and I'm gonna install this selector switch right in here so I can turn the fuel off in the wintertime if I need to. I'm just gonna take a little set of pliers here. I know it's like sacrilege, but okay. And then it actually comes with some new clamps, so we'll get those on the pipes and get this attached to the filter. Here, get the new clamps on to the fuel filter, and we'll take the old one from up top and slide it down and get it attached. Perfect. Now, while we have it off, I'm going to put this new one also on this new piece of line because it's going to go over the top of the selector switch. Okay, and then this selector switch, pretty simple. It does have some arrows to delineate which way it's going, so make sure you got it in the right direction. In this case, it's going to be pointed up. Okay, and get it all seated in there. Perfect. Okay, that's it, and now we're just going to get the clamps seated properly. Okay, cool. Well, that was pretty easy and pretty fast. Like I said, only about 20 bucks. And really, even though this video is a lot shorter, I only did this in about 20 minutes, so it should help a lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this top closed and turn it over with you real quick and see how it does. And turn on. There's no fuel in the line, so it may take a second. All right, well, it runs really well. It sounds a lot better than it did beforehand, so I'm pretty proud of it. For only 20 bucks in about 20 minutes, this will keep going for a long time. I've actually had this lawn tractor for 2 to 3 years now, and this is the first time I've done it actually. And you're only recommended to do this about every 50 hours or so. And to be honest, I'm only on 44 hours, but I figured it hasn't been done in so long that I really needed to do it. I also need to wash it, but that's next up. So thanks a lot, y'all, for watching. We really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot, y'all, for watching. We really appreciate it. If you would consider subscribing by clicking on the icon below, and make sure to turn on bell notifications so you do get notified every time a video does come out, which is every Thursday. Also, please be sure to check out the video that YouTube recommends for you on your left, as well as our most viewed video to your right.